welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing some tone-on-tone stamping and ink blending. This is a really fun technique. But first I want to remind you, if you don't already, you can follow me across social media. Those links are going to be down in the description box below. And if you haven't already and you would like to, you can subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button down below. It always helps. I'm going to be using this stamp set from Joy Claire. All the supplies, inks, whatnot, it's all going to be listed down in the description box below. So if you have any questions, you can head down there and check out that list. I'm also going to be using VersaFine Claire inks. I'm using these because they stamp really well, but they also blend really well. So this is kind of like the perfect combination that I'm going for this card. So with the 3D poinsettia stamp set from Joy Claire, you get 4 different layers for your poinsettia. So I went ahead and stamped the largest one with my mini Misty, but then I switched to an acrylic black. These are high quality stamps. I'm using a really good ink pad that stamps really well, so I didn't need to use that, so I just went ahead and switched to an acrylic black to make this a little faster. So like I said, you get 4 layers for the poinsettia. I'm only stamping 3. I'm not going to stamp that smallest one for this card. You can add it though, and you do get 2 of those. Those make great backgrounds though. You also get this set of leaves, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp about 3 of those with some of the Green Oasis VersaFine Claire ink. Then for my little berries that are going to be right in the center of the poinsettia, I'm going to stamp that with some Sauna ink from Catherine Pooler, and then I will go ahead and stamp the inside, which is the solid berries, right inside the outline. Now for blending today, I'm going to be using my Clarity brushes. I like these because I can control the ink a little bit better. I just find that I still love my mini ink blending tools from Ranger. However, I find that I can be very heavy-handed with them, and that's not what I'm going for here. I want to be able to build the color up. So here you can see with this Green Oasis ink, I stamped the leaves with this same ink pad. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the same color, same ink pad I used for stamping, and blend in that color. So it's going to be a tone on tone. It's going to look really nice. I like to start towards the bottom, so where those 2 leaves meet, and then I just continue to bring that ink up. So it goes from darkest to lightest, darkest being towards the bottom of the leaves. So I did that to all of the little leaves that I stamped out. And like I said, I stamped 3 or 4. I only ended up using 3 though. You can use however many you want. Then for my poinsettias, I'm going to do the same thing. The only thing I'm doing different here is I switched my brush. I'm using a little bit smaller one for these. And I'm going to make my darkest point right in the center of the flower and then bring the color out. So darkest in the center, and then as it goes out towards the edge of the little leaves of the flower, I'm going to lighten up the ink. Now another thing that's great about using these ink pads and this brush is it builds. So if I decide later on that I want a little bit more on there, I didn't go quite dark enough, I can continue to build and build and build until I'm happy with the color. Once the color's on there, you can't really take it away. So I like to start off with a very light hand, and that's where these brushes come in handy. I went ahead and fussy cut each one of the images, and it was still looking a little off. That's because whenever you cut, you get this white edge whenever you do fussy cutting. So I grabbed some little makeup sponges. I'm going to use the same ink pads that I used for stamping and ink blending, and I'm going to go over those cut lines very quickly. This is going to darken up the edges. It's going to cover up the white space, and you can see on the left one I've already done it to compared to the one on the right that still has the white edge. It just gives it a nice finishing look, and it just looks better when you do this. Now to put my entire poinsettia on, I had a white panel, cardstock panel, but it was a little plain. So I wanted to dress it up a little bit, so I decided to use my paper trimmer. I put this in at 1/8 of an inch, and then I'll go up to 1/4 of an inch, scoring at both places. I'll do this on all 4 sides. This is just a great way to get a nice little frame on your cardstock without having a frame die or an embossing folder, because you never know what size of panel you're going to need for a frame. It's easier just to do this with my paper trimmer rather than have a bunch of embossing folders or dies laying around of all different sizes. I like to just use my paper trimmer and my bone folder and quickly do it myself. Then I can make as many lines as I want to. Here's a closer look at that embossing. It gives an embossed raised edge to it. I love the way this turned out, and it looks especially nice on the finished card. So once I had that done, it was time to go ahead and stamp my sentiment before I started putting everything together. I'm using that same Chianti ink that I used for the flower, and I'll stamp the Merry Christmas greeting that's included in the stamp set. Another great thing about the 3D Poinsettia stamp set is it's got these great big scripty sentiments in it that are perfect for the inside and outside of your card. This one's going to go on the outside, but I will show you how I used one on the inside as well towards the end of this video. I stamped that down a couple times. I am using my mini Misty here. It really didn't need it, but I had already put it in my Misty, so why not? I stamped that a few times, and then I have all my pieces ready to go. I just need to put the flower together. So for the poinsettia, I'm going to go ahead and start with some liquid glue. Now I have these all cut out, and what I decided to do was actually use 2 of the largest layer instead of bringing in that smallest one. So I stamped 2 of those, cut those both out, and I'll glue those together with some liquid glue. You can use glue dots or whatever kind of glue you want. You just need to make sure it's nice and strong so it's going to hold everything together. Then I put in my medium layer, and then I'll go ahead and finish off this flower with the smallest layer right in the center. I'm just putting glue on those little circles in the center of the flower to hold everything together. The leaves are going to raise up a little bit. It's going to look more realistic and more layered that way without adding a bunch of bulk. For the berries in the center, or the little center of the flower, I added some fun foam and attached that to the flower. The flower's ready to go. It just needs some leaves. So the leaves I'm going to do the exact same way. Again, I'm using the multimedia matte. Use whatever glue you want. Just make sure it's a nice strong one. I'll go ahead and attach all these leaves together first, and then I'll go ahead and attach the flower onto the leaves. Now I went with a little bit more fun foam here. However, if it's getting too much dimension for you and you really want these to go through the mail easier, just glue it down with some regular liquid adhesive or very flat adhesive, and you won't have as much dimension, but it will still go through the mail very easily that way. Now once I had that done, I added a little bit more dimension right to the back of the leaves. That's going to allow this to pop up, but it's still going to hold everything in place right on that little card panel that I did the embossing on with my bone folder and the sentiment. I'll place that right on the top there, give it a little press with my finger, and that is ready to go. There's a closer look at the flower all put together. I love the dimension and the layers of this, and adding that little bit of sponging right on the edge really helped pull the entire thing together and finish off the flower. So with that panel done, it was time to put the card together. I went ahead and used a piece of burgundy. It really matched the ink well. Cardstock. I added a little bit onto the left-hand side there. I did a little bit more than I would need, so I didn't have to worry about lining everything up perfectly. I added more dimensional adhesive to the back of that embossed panel with the flower on it, and then I just placed that on the right-hand side and lined that up all on an A2 sized top folding white card base. Man, that is a mouthful every time I try and say it. There's a closer look at the finished card. I absolutely love the front of this. It's pretty, but with that flower that has so much dimension and layers, that's all you need. Now for the inside of the card, I used everything that's included in the stamp set too. I added a little sentiment and a few little greenery sprigs right on the outside of that sentiment. I used the same ink colors that I used on the outside to keep everything very simple and cohesive. Here's one final look at the card, and that is going to do it for me today. There are going to be links on the left side of your screen that you can click on. You can also subscribe to my channel over there. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button down below. Thanks for watching today, and happy crafting!